And I can't think of a better person to bring on the show and talk about his very moving story with breast cancer and what he's done. And I'll let him talk about it. Let's have a round of applause for Joe Satriano.
Thank you, Howie. It's so nice to be back, and it's just it's like old home week here.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you got the text as to what to wear tonight.
Absolutely, yes.
Very nice. So, a lot has happened since I've been on the show last. First, if I may just say that my younger son Justin got married, which was wonderful. I led the way. He married a Jewish girl. Yeah, very good. And also, unfortunately, life is like a roller coaster. That was the happy moment. Sue's father, unfortunately, passed away 4 days after the wedding, battling prostate cancer, and then it metastasized 2 months prior to his lungs and his brain. But he was some heck of a guy. Matter of fact, it was a year ago that I announced on this show that I had an incredible 90th birthday party for him, and I just wished him so well, and told him how much I loved him. He was one great father-in-law. Anyway, so my story is that I was married to my wife Susan for 29 years. We were both high school math teachers. Don't hold that against me, please. And please hold the laughter down. And we actually did multiply twice in our lives.
Tough crowd.
It is. By the way, the kids were born on the same day, 5 years apart. We did a lot of calculating, of course, we're math teachers. And it's great, as I get older, all I have to do is forget one birthday. Yeah. But it is a tough crowd. But anyway, life was beautiful. We were two peas in a pod, and we met at Brooklyn College in a math class. How beautiful was that? She would tell you if she were here, it was the only D she ever got in a math class. Okay. She was slightly distracted, she told me. Okay. I didn't know from women at that age. I didn't know she was pursuing me, so I got an A. But nevertheless, unfortunately, 16 years into our 29-year marriage, Sue did contract breast cancer, and 13 years after, she did pass away. I had retired 4 years early from my job at Roslyn High School because I was no longer being an effective teacher. I actually was cheating the kids I was teaching. My head was nowhere in that classroom. It was back at home because Sue's health had taken such a bad turn that I was no longer thinking about those kids. I was thinking about being at home with her. And to Roslyn's credit, they allowed me to retire 4 years early. I ended up spending the last 4 years of Sue's life together with her. I would not change a thing other than the outcome, because October 2nd, 2005, Sue passes away, and Joe here has no direction, no purpose. I was no longer a caregiver, no job. I had given that up 4 years ago, and no Sue. If anyone wanted to find me in the next 6 months of my life, it was very simple. All they had to do was come into my bedroom, look under my covers because I was in fetal position, crying, feeling sorry for myself. And then, Howie, I cannot tell you why this happened, but it was like an epiphany, a lightning bolt. I realized that I was wasting away, and I wasn't doing anything for anybody. My kids, my family, my friends, kids that I love teaching. So I got this lightning bolt that struck my head, and I said, you know what? I'm going to start a foundation in Sue's name, in her honor. And if you notice over here, the double S kissing at a pink heart, that's for the Susan Satriano Foundation. What I do is I target certain kids. They have to meet 3 requirements. Number 1, graduating high school senior. That's easy. Number 2, going to an accredited college in the fall. That's fairly easy for most kids. I need that because it's a scholarship for their higher education. The kicker, the third requirement and the worst one, unfortunately, is that they have to have a parent who has either passed away of cancer, presently battling, or in remission. If they meet those 3 requirements, they get the award, hands down. I've never turned a child down in 11 years. One of the best things I do, other than just handing out the money at the awards assemblies, is I ask each and every school to give me 20 minutes with each child. I go and talk to them. I let them know that there's light at the end of a very long tunnel. I am the epitome of that because I died with Sue that day, and yet here I am. And amazingly, these kids, these inspiring kids who have put yourself in their shoes, they're high school seniors. They've either lost a parent or watching a parent's demise due to cancer. And yet here they are, keeping up the grades, trying their best to make life as normal as possible, going on to college, and not surprisingly, what they will do is about 90% of them, Howie, go into a give-back profession when they get out of college. They want to give back and help those that are maybe facing what they faced when they were kids, because they saw how these professionals tried to help their parent or parents get through the dread of cancer. So, and the amazing thing is that the only reason why I could tell you that I know I'm making a dent in this world, I don't ask these kids to write to me, but they do. And there's that connection. We've walked the walk together. And they tell me how it was amazing, the money that I give them, but more importantly, the fact that a stranger came and said, simply, I know what you're going through. Doesn't take much. I'm so proud to say that you're looking at the foundation. It's me and me alone. I've done it now for 11 years. I started it in 2006. I finished my 11th academic year this June, that just passed. And you're holding on to something, Howie. I don't want you to faint when I tell you these numbers. Okay, I've given out to over 1,100 kids across the nation well over $750,000 in scholarships. So one may ask, well, how does one fund all of this? Did you ask that?
I asked that.
Oh, good.
I was wondering what that is.
Yeah, well, that's part of the reason how I fund what I do. Another thing that I amaze myself with, Howie, is the strength to start a foundation. I mean, I like I said a moment ago, I died with Sue that day. But a year after she died, I basically went into Command Central, which I refer to as my computer room at home, and I wrote the words on the computer, "The Beginning." And let me tell you, things started to flow like crazy. I wrote and wrote and wrote until I actually produced a book. It wasn't intended to be a book. It was actually a journal for me to help me deal with Sue's loss. I had no intention of having anybody ever read it, but I actually showed it to some people and they were moved by it. And I said, wow, if I can move certain people who were very stoic and very rarely showing emotions, and here they are crying and telling me how much they appreciate the fact that someone expressed their feelings about dealing with a loss, I said, well, let's do it. So it became a book. It's called In Sickness and in Health, A Memoir of Love. It's not a book about loss, even though you know the ending. It's a book about hope and optimism and love. That's the way Sue and I lived our life, and I've learned from it, and I continue to do that. As I said in an earlier segment, I get high on life, and that's me. I look for the positives. Sometimes you have to look a little harder, but there are positives, and you know, I enjoy every minute. The book, another wonderful perk of the book, not only has it apparently helped people get through their own tragedies, but it actually, 100% of its proceeds goes to the foundation. And that's part of the way that I can fund the $750,000 that I've given out in scholarships. I also run events. You were at many of them, actually. I do a Strawberry Fields event, which is the best Beatle knockoff group you've ever heard or seen on this planet. You were nice enough to come and introduce me that night on stage.
Yep.
And also, I am in negotiations right now, if I may say, with Lawrence School District. In April, what I want to do is run what I call the Walk of Lights, which is an event where people will buy luminary bags, pink for someone who has passed away of cancer, gold for someone who's presently battling or in remission. We print the name of the person that's being honored. There are tea light candles, no flames. The superintendent appreciates that. And people will walk around the track in a beautiful evening. It is the most poignant, beautiful event. Fun because we're going to have bands, we're going to have raffles, raffle baskets, 50-50, food. But the bottom line is 100% of the proceeds that we make that night will go directly to students, as everything else that I sell. So, Howie, it's been a joy. I can't believe that I found this strength and courage to do what I did. But it's not about me. All you have to do is come on one of these, quote, interviews that I go on. I call it an interview. It's not an interview to select one kid against the other. It's merely just to give them a chance to talk. If you met any one of these kids, your heart would melt, and you'd see how easy it is to reach out and say, I do understand what you're going through. So that's my story. If you want to get in touch with me or get a book, because you are doing a mitzvah if you buy a book. Sue taught me all those words. She's Jewish. Mitzvah is a good deed for we Catholics out there and might not know. All you have to do is go to www.susansatrianofoundation.com, or you can call me. I'm lonely. It's 516-603-5520. Thank you, Howie.
Wait, I got a little surprise for you.
Oh?
Joe, last summer, Rocco and I, and Mayor, did a show from my family's beach house on T Street in Nantasket, Mass. Joe was visiting his son in Cambridge, and he came up and joined us and talked about his foundation. And my brother Charlie, who's in the social work field, was so impressed, he included you in his book that's coming out soon, No Such Thing as a Bad Kid. So when the book comes out, Joe, you're in it.
Wow, that's terrific. I spoke to Charlie. I love him like a brother.
So there you go.
Thank you.
Ladies and one of my favorite stories, Joe talked about inspiring stories and what it's all about. Is one time Joe had a high school senior, and parent was bald because of cancer, and the student and every one of his teammates on his sports team shaved their head in unity for the kid whose parent was going through cancer. That's what it's all about.
It is, and mind you, this was a student who showed me his learner's permit, and the picture had hair down to the pupik, and I saw, obviously when I met him, there was no hair on his head, so I let him talk, and he said, I wanted to send the hair to the American Cancer Society, where they do a thing called Look Good, Feel Good. They made wigs out of that hair, and the hair of all of his football teammates, which was amazing. These are the types of inspiring kids that I get to meet, and I am so blessed.
Awesome. What a great way to end that segment. Joe Satriano, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.